So, where is the profit in a Kickstarter launch? Tyler James from Comics Launch here. Just wanted to jump on and talk briefly about this great question. I know a lot of creators, when they look at planning their Kickstarter and they run their Kickstarter, and even if they have a successful Kickstarter, they quickly find that it's easy to, no matter how much you raise, it seems, it's easy to spend more on fulfilling your project or what it takes to make the project in the first place and all of that than you actually make. And so it's like, okay, well, what was the point of this Kickstarter if I can't make a profit? I also know that there's some creators that aren't like, or some people that are like, hey, should you even be making a profit when you're doing a Kickstarter? Isn't it just to make the thing funded, and isn't profit, a dirty word and everything? And so, we might talk a little bit about some of that, but I really wanted to just jump on here and call out something that I saw that was very interesting and illustrates one of the biggest points and sort of mindset shifts that I think creators need to have, especially when they jump in and they're planning on getting really serious about upping their crowdfunding game, and to go into it with the right mindset. But first, if you are planning on either your first or next crowdfunding campaign, and you would like a little support and a little training and a little guidance on that, I have a new resource. It's called the Profitable Comic Book Kickstarter Launch Roadmap. It's available for free. Just go to comicslaunch.com/roadmap. Get that free guide. It's got some steps to take to get your comic book campaign set up for success. We talk about some keys to getting Kickstarter to promote your project for you, and it'll also get you on the Comics Launch VIP list, and we'll send you additional Kickstarter training and stuff like that. So if you haven't grabbed the roadmap, go grab it. But what I want to talk about briefly is this news that I saw over the last week or so, just sort of dropped. And it's that Robert Kirkman and Skybound is re-releasing the entire Walking Dead comic book series, which wrapped up last year. It's re-releasing the entire series in a deluxe new color edition that's going to come out every 2 weeks until it redoes the entire series. Now, as you may know, if you have been a Walking Dead fan like myself, is that this book that originally came out over a decade ago came out in black and white, and it came out, usually the traditional monthly, and then as they picked up steam, I think it was bi-monthly for a while, and they did everything. But Kirkman famously wrapped it up last year, sort of with a surprise ending, and brought it to a close. But an important lesson. And he had a number of reasons why he did that, creatively and otherwise, but one thing that Kirkman has always been smart enough to know is that there's what he might need as a creator, and to feel creatively fulfilled, and and what he needs to do, and he needs to do what he needs to do. But then there's also what does the business need? And for Kirkman, one thing that he's realized is that one of the keys to the Skybound business is that this Walking Dead property needs to exist and continue, and to keep churning, and to just keep going. And what Kirkman has done since the very beginning, and even he was starting to do it even before the TV series took off, but what Kirkman found is that the profit for this series usually did not come from the single issues, or at least in the early days, it definitely didn't. And he went, tens and tens of thousands of dollars in debt, and he lived in like one of the, lowest cost of living areas in the world for a long, or not in the world, but in the US for a long time. And he basically, was willing to go pretty deep in the hole just to keep this thing alive. And so it was a while before The Walking Dead, which is, I would say, and you can text me on this, but I believe it is and will be, and may never be dethroned as the most profitable comic book series of all time. Everything from the fact that he kept his costs relatively low by making it black and white, all the way to the fact that now it's going to be in comic shops, coming out weekly, going forward. And he's going to collect a whole new segment of the market that maybe just didn't read it in black and white, or refused to it just on principle of the black and white, like I used to be back in in my teenage days, where I would just look down at black and white comics before Sin City and Frank Miller taught me better. But what Kirkman's always done with this series is he kept it coming out, but he also found ways to repackage, relaunch. And so he's got trades, he's got hardcover collections of 12 issues, he's got the omnibus collections, oversized, different formats, digital. And so the profit is usually not in that first launch. But what Kirkman has done and is continuing to do, and Skybound is continuing to do, is he releases it, he then re-releases it, he relaunches it, he repackages it, he repurposes it, and this lets him stay relevant, and it's going to let The Walking Dead stay relevant for years and years and years to come, long after he himself has creatively moved on. And what this is going to do is it's going to allow the Skybound business to continue to, cash in on this cash cow. And that allows Kirkman to go off and have the resources where, he can, go again, spend, tens of thousands, even more in development on projects and then just drop them. All right. Now, it's always a little bit dangerous using The Walking Dead as an example because it is like the outlier. It's the lightning strike and everything. But this concept of the profit being in the relaunch is very powerful. Now, your crowdfunding campaigns can be profitable. I try to design all my campaigns to have the profit built into them so that they will be profitable right from the get-go. But for many of you, if you are, especially if you're just starting out, or maybe you've been investing in a really high caliber art team, or you've had fits and starts and you're just piling on all of this stuff and you're learning this all for the first time, your crowd, like to put the pressure of that first Kickstarter launch when maybe your audience isn't massive and you're just starting to figure out how this whole crowdfunding thing works. Don't put all the pressure on yourself that first launch absolutely has to be profitable. It would be sort of like saying the surgeon that the heart surgeon that goes to med school and goes hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt has to pay all of that back after doing just one heart surgery. Probably doesn't happen, right? Your crowdfunding campaigns can be profitable, and that roadmap that I shared will help you do that and help you get there. But it's okay. It's okay if that first launch isn't profitable. The first launch of The Walking Dead lost Kirkman a lot of money until it paid himself back. But it's okay if that first launch isn't profitable. Don't worry about it. Just keep moving forward. But know that for most creators out there, the profit is in the relaunch. And that's why that, Kickstarter serialization strategy can be so powerful because, if you're producing your first product, you may break even or even go a little bit in the hole on that. But ideally, when you go and do that second launch, you can always sell more of the product that you already have in stock that costs you no more funding. And then if you can break even on that second product, on the next product, or on the next version, or on the next issue, or on the next iteration of it, but also sell a lot of the first version, then it becomes more profitable. And when you launch again, you just kind of snowball it, and it can really pay off and pay dividends in the end. So be like Robert Kirkman, be like a lot of the creators out there that are sticking with an audience and a series and continuing to find ways to relaunch, repackage, and reignite their fan base. Because most of the world, no matter how big your book is, just like Kirkman's, like no matter how big it is, and Walking Dead is probably the biggest comic property to come around in 20 years. And guess what? Most of the English reading public has never picked up a copy of the Walking Dead yet. But Kirkman's going to keep that thing in circulation with a relaunch, in a new format, a new colored format, for years and years and years to come going forward, because he knows that the profit is usually in the relaunch. Again, go grab that roadmap if you haven't gotten it already. I want to hear what you think about it. comicslaunch.com/roadmap. And if you want to tell me how you are committed to launching, relaunching, repackaging, and if you're finding success with that strategy, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear that. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Can't wait to see what you launch next.